Okay, so today we're going to try to unpack the GameStop story. Remember that whole thing back in early 2021?
Yeah, what a wild ride that was.
I mean, it was just this incredible showdown. Everyday people, just normal investors over on Reddit, like on that Wall Street Bets forum,
Yeah, Wall Street bets. Yeah.
taking on like these huge hedge funds that had basically bet against GameStop, bet against the stock, I mean.
Right, exactly. Shorted it.
Yeah. So, uh, we want to dive into that whole crazy saga and then this surprising swerve it's taking
Yeah.
into crypto now. Like, what does all this mean for online communities and how companies, how they, actually run their business?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think to kind of understand all this, we have to go back to the beginning. So GameStop, I mean, everyone knows GameStop, right? Brick and mortar video game retailer. They were struggling. As you know, more and more people just buy games online, download them.
Right, right. Digital downloads.
Exactly. And this is important because a bunch of hedge funds, they saw this happening, and they started what's called shorting the stock,
Shorting.
which basically means betting that the price is going to go down, and they can make money off that. You borrow shares, sell them high, hoping to buy them back cheaper later.
Right, right. Profit from the difference.
Exactly.
Okay, so they're betting against GameStop.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, that's where things get interesting. You have these folks, like this guy, Keith Gill. You might know him as like Roaring Kitty or Deep Fucking Value online.
yeah, yeah, I remember.
He starts rallying, basically, other retail investors, right?
Yeah.
Everyday people. And they start coordinating, buying up tons of GameStop stock.
And that's when the price just went nuts, right?
Oh, absolutely. It went from under $20 a share to over 500. Pre-split, this is in January 2021. In just a few weeks, it was crazy.
Like a rocket ship, straight up.
Exactly.
So what happened to those hedge funds, the ones that shorted the stock?
Well, that surge, that buying frenzy, triggered something called a short squeeze.
Short squeeze.
Yeah, and basically, as the price goes up, anyone who shorted the stock, they're losing money, and they have to buy back those shares to cover their losses.
So they have to buy at the higher price.
Exactly, which drives the price up even more, and it's this crazy feedback loop.
Wow.
And some of those funds, I mean, they got hammered. Melvin Capital, for example, lost like over 50%.
Oof. It's gotta hurt.
It was a huge wake-up call for a lot of these institutions. It showed that, hey, these online communities, these retail investors, they can actually have a huge impact.
So that's when GameStop became like the ultimate meme stock, right?
Exactly. Driven by hype, online buzz, not necessarily like traditional financial stuff.
And of course, that initial explosion couldn't last forever.
Right, no. Things settled down. There was that whole thing with Robinhood, restricting trading.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people were not happy about that.
Right. It sparked all sorts of theories, but yeah, the frenzy died down. Though we did see some like mini revivals later on, like when Gill popped up again in 2024.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But those like 2021 highs never came back.
Okay, so fast forward to now, 2025. Ryan Gowen's at the helm. And this is where the story takes a really interesting turn.
Right, because their core business, selling games in stores, still struggling.
Yeah, they've closed like 1,000 stores, right?
Yeah, in the past year alone. So on March 25th, 2025, GameStop makes this big announcement
They're adding Bitcoin.
to their treasury reserves.
Yeah, which if you look around, other companies have been doing this too, right? Like
Yeah.
MicroStrategy. It's like a whole new kind of strategy with Bitcoin.
Right. They're essentially saying, okay, we're going to put some of our cash into Bitcoin. And to do this, they actually launched this like $1.3 billion convertible notes offering, which are basically bonds that can later on be converted into stock.
And how did the market react?
Well, initially the stock jumped like over 11%. People were excited, but then pretty quickly it dropped like more than 15%.
Why the drop?
I think investors started to get a little nervous, right? You have to think Bitcoin, it's volatile. The price goes up and down like crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. And, it's not like GameStop is this like cutting edge tech company, right? They're closing stores, but it doesn't seem to really fit.
That's a good point. It's not their first time dabbling in digital assets either. Back in 2022, they tried NFTs, partnered with companies like Immutable X and Loopring.
NFTs, yeah.
But that didn't really go anywhere. So this pivot to Bitcoin, it's kind of a head scratcher.
It's like, are they just chasing trends? Or do they have a real plan here?
It's hard to say. I mean, it doesn't really seem like they're trying to reinvent their retail business, More like they're trying to tap into that same energy from the whole meme stock thing, but with crypto this time.
So they're banking on their fans, basically, the ones who were buying up the stock before.
Seems like it. But can it work? I mean, can it actually save GameStop in the long run?
Big question mark.
Huge. As of today, April 6th, 2025, their future is looking more tied to like the whims of Bitcoin than anything else. It's risky.
Super risky.
Yeah.
So we've gone from this, like, massive online movement, retail investors taking on Wall Street,
Right.
to this, like, really, really big shift into the crypto world.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, what's so fascinating to me is like how quickly this all changed. I mean, think about it. A company with a huge online community completely changing what they do.
It makes you think, right?
Mm-hmm.
About the power of, like, online trends and what
Yeah.
that means for actual companies. What does the GameStop story tell us about all that? Something we all have to think about, I think.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for our deep dive today.
Yeah.
Until next time.